Hey, it's Matt Pinfield. It's KLOS, new and approved, and I'm here with one of my close friends who I love, Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach, and it's always great to catch up with him and have him on the show. Jacoby, what's going on, my brother?
Freaking good to see you, Matt.
Man,
So good to see you, brother.
yeah, it's always great to see you. You know, it's funny. We were, I know you have something there. We want to show everybody, which I think is so cool. It's like the smallest triple platinum plaque of all time.
So I was going through. I got this cabinet out in the garage. And I was going through some stuff looking for something, and I turned up on this, and it made me laugh. And so I was like, "This is the world's smallest triple platinum plaque ever, right here. It's for our first."
Yeah, 3 million copies, and that you're like, that's amazing. Hey, you know, I gotta say,
little guy.
you know what was? I saw one of the coolest plaques that you got from another country. Maybe it was Germany. The one with the roaches on it. It was like that.
That's right.
That thing is like one of the most unique and coolest, like platinum records I've ever seen. I was like, holy, you know, it was nuts. It was.
How do you keep this knowledge in your brain? Like,
you know what it is, man? I mean, you think of all those years of drinking and rocking out and partying and doing who knows what. The one thing that I hold on to is my musical knowledge. It's because I love music so much and I care so much about it. It's everything in my life and my passion, besides the people I love. So that's why I remember that. But that plaque was unbelievable. It was like wood with like, or something like that. It was like with these like little like roaches on
cockroaches.
it.
Cockroaches.
Cockroaches.
All over it. It was from Germany.
Yeah, and I said Germany, so I was right. Yeah. I can't believe I remembered that. That's crazy. You know,
I literally think we FaceTimed once, and it was because it's downstairs in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And I think we FaceTimed once, and you were like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, check this out. This is."
And it blew my mind. I thought it was one of the coolest plaques I've ever seen. You know, we've seen a lot of them, right? But and you guys have gotten a lot, and for good reason. Jacoby, I'm so happy to have you here, and I want to talk about a lot of things, but I want to talk about, you know, Leave a Light On. You know what I mean? It's such an incredible song from the album Ego Trip. We're talking about 11 albums in right now. And isn't it amazing? 11 albums in, you know, like we're going up on like, you know, we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of Infest. Yeah. And but this song is so great because, I mean, it's tied in to everything that you and I talk about and the things that we care about. And it's really, really affecting people. Can you talk to me about when you wrote this song, and then we'll talk about the tie-in that happens with you know?
So we were working on this record, Leave a Light On. The album Ego Trip, Leave a Light On is our current single off that one. And when we were working on that track, you know, I just had sent my oldest son. He was in his freshman year of college. And he was kind of having some of his own struggles of his own. And, you know, I had my other son, Jagger, you know, going through high school and, you know, just those challenges of, you know, dealing with these young men and sending them off into the world, you know. And I wanted to write something, just a straight message to my sons, no matter what you're going through, no matter how dark it gets, whatever is happening in your life, please know, like, I'm always here for you.
Yeah.
That sentiment, you know what I mean? Like, it's just important. I think it was important for me to put that into a song, you know, and I mean, really and truly in my life, I've had countless men and women who have been there for me through thick and thin, the good times and the bad. And so to be able to experience relationships like that, where they love me through it all, and to be able to extend that to other people in my life as well, I think is important. You know, we got to be there for each other. And, you know, I think it cuts through, man. It really, like, it's a stripped down song. We approach it so differently than anything we've done before. And yeah, man, it moved me. Like, as we were writing this song, I just kept going, it's so different, but it just feels so right.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that. I love it when music does that to us.
I mean, that's the reason we fell in love with music in the first place.
Absolutely, man.
It's like the way it made us feel, or it spoke for our feelings, for the things that and we can love it on a lot of different levels. You can love it very deeply for certain things, and other times just the way it feels and moves you. But man, I'm telling you, that's one of the great things, and you've been doing that for a lot of fans for a lot of years, which I think is just so beautiful. This past year, you've done it like $155,000 to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. You're working in coordination with them with this, which I think is fantastic. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we partnered up with them and used this song as a bullhorn for the message, to talk away the dark. We partnered with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and they have a campaign that they've been running for a while called Talk Away the Dark. And we were like, leave a light on, talk away the dark. Like it just fit, right? It was like obvious. And it's trippy how that's God working in my life, those little nuggets that bring those pieces together. Because I got a heart for philanthropy. I got a heart for people. I care. It's just who I am. And we wanted to use this song as a bullhorn and as a message of hope, essentially, to people. And what the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is doing is saving lives straight up, and letting people know that, these things that are going on in our minds, like we are not alone. There is somebody out there that's willing to listen, be there for you, and I honestly didn't know that you could just pick up the phone and dial 988, right? And somebody's going to be there on the other end, picking up that phone and walking with you through what might be your darkest hour. You know what I mean? And it's important, man, I think, for us as a people to be there for each other, and also to, like, for me, it's like reaching my hand into a dark space and like going, yo, there's light on the other side. Like, just grab onto my hand. Let's go. And this song is that, and what the AFSP with their Talk Away the Dark campaign has been doing, and we partnering up with them it's such a blessing. And I feel like it's just the beginning of something great with P. Roach and the AFSP, because, our music does touch on a lot of like heavy subjects. And, our music is about that hope, being in the darkness and reaching for that light, and that's been the message for years.
It has. I mean, you've been like putting feelings and, people dealing with emotional issues in life in your songs from the very get-go. I mean, really, like from the days of Infest.
Think about, right, Infest, like Last Resort. It's like you were talking earlier. It's like when you got a song where the riff just feels super good and you're just jamming out to it. And I think that's what caught people's ear. But then when they dug deeper into the lyric, and it was just a cry for help. The song was a straight cry for help. And it's awesome how music has those layers, and I think with the difference between Last Resort and a song like Leave a Light On is that I think the message and the sound of the song they just fit so perfectly, you know what I mean?
They do fit perfectly together.
There's a magic in that one.
There really is. Jacoby, it's amazing. There's when songs touch people like Last Resort. I mean, it's one of those songs, we don't always talk about metrics, but it's it's on a short list of songs that are over 1 billion streams. That's how many people connect with it. And more importantly, it's been covered by Falling in Reverse did a beautiful reimagined version who you toured with on Rockzilla. Talk to me. Was that great when you heard, like them come out with that track? How did you? I mean, it was so beautiful the way they did it.
So it was back in like 2019. I remember we were hitting up different artists to do some reimaginations of our music, and I'd hit Ronnie up, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I just feel like if you did a reimagination of Last Resort, it would just smash. I had no idea what he was going to do, right? I just put it in his ear. I didn't even expect it to happen, right? I didn't have the expectation. I was like, throw it out there and let's see what comes back. And if he's down, and he hits me up few months later and he's like, dude, I'm working on something right now, Kobe, that's like super special. And I'm just like, all right, I'm getting goosebumps, right? Because this kid's, he's talented, dude. He's got such a drive and a passion towards music, and he's got a very wide range of his vocals as well.
I mean, yeah, when you hear that version, anybody who ever had any question, he's a great vocalist. I mean, he sails with that, and it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, and so
and it breaks the lyrics down. It's almost like, to me, like, when you first two iconic artists too, like you and Ronnie, and then if you look back at like Chris Cornell and Soundgarden do Rusty Cage, and then hearing Johnny Cash do it straight stripped down,
Yeah,
yeah, Johnny Cash style. You know,
yeah.
you hear it differently, but you know that you're like, whoa, because there's something in it. That
It
the
really
lyrics.
is amazing what he did to the song, and I think it honestly, like, it almost cut deeper to the emotion of the lyric than our version of it. You know what I mean? And I think that was what makes it so special. And I remember when I heard it, we had just kicked off the Rockzilla tour, first couple dates, and he's like, I'm super nervous, man. I want to play this for you. I'm like, got goosebumps, and I'm like, all right, let's hear it. So he rolls in the dressing room and he plays it, and he's just tripping. I think there's if you go back on some of our stories on Instagram or whatever, there's a whole thing about what I'm talking about. And I got to tell you, man, I was so moved. I just had goosebumps. I was tripping. I was just like, wow, like you knocked this one out the park. And I love that. He came back with something so original and so different and just so rad. So
It was
shout
great.
out to Ronnie.
Yeah, and Ronnie Rackey's great, and he really looks up to you too because you were one of the people that he listened to, and always has, and he loved touring with you because listen, the thing is, you come out and perform live, and you are as great or better than ever. Like me, because of your time. In recovery and sobriety. When we've talked about this before on the show, like where I see you jogging before a festival, like I'm like, there's Jacoby's running 8 miles, and it was just so inspiring, man. For all of us, and you just live. I tell people, I'm like, you want to go see a frontman that gives it his all, and that crushes it, like, and that's the thing that's really exciting. That to me, you've gotten better with time and with age too. Like, you were always great. You always gave your all, but now seeing you live and then the Rockzilla tours it was really a great successful tour, wasn't it?
Oh, I got to tell you, man, like I'd roll up. Ronnie would just get off stage, right? I'm like, yeah, come in. I'm like, damn, dude, y'all just stole the show. I got to go steal that motherfucker back. You know what I mean? And it was, I honestly, I love it when we take artists out that are just young and hungry and step on that stage and just rip, because it makes for a great night. You know what I mean? It's like, I talked with Brent Smith from Shinedown about this. It's like, oh man, it's like he loves it and hates it when P. Roach is out with him, right? Because it's like we just did a tour with them, and it's like we smash it, and then they came out and smash it. You know what I mean? And it's like we make each other better, we push each other, and it elevates our performance. And I think that competitiveness is important.
It's important, and it's important when
I
you're.
love the competition.
Oh, it's incredible, And speaking of which, you and Brent have been such great, besides being guys that I love, man, and just being guys who really bring the message to people. It's, to me, I see that thing, that friendship that you guys have, that bond.
Oh, yeah.
And I also love the fact that it's like you guys are always working to do things to help others. And I think that's just one of the coolest things. Talk to me about the first time you guys, like when you guys met years ago.
Oh man, so like first time I met Brent, I was telling him this just a few weeks ago. I was like, I remember it was in Florida. I think it was Jacksonville, where they're from, where the band originated. And I remember just walking up on stage. They were performing, and it was right towards the end of their set. And I was like, I gotta go check this band, because like I just hear the crowd screaming, band's ripping. And so I go on stage, and they're playing the song 45. And like he just, right when I walked on stage, it was like he just hit down on his knees, and he was just like, and he was just hitting this just like the peak moment of the song. And I just was like, whoa, that's a real one right there. Like, who is that dude? Came right off stage. I just rolled up on him, put a hug on him, like, dude, what's up, man? I'm Jacoby from P. Roach, man. What's your name? And we hit it off right off the rip, and we became fast friends, and we've been buds through all of it too. You know what I mean? Like through my highs and my lows, through his highs and his lows. And it's just so awesome to see them thriving as a band, and just, they're just good people, man. And so Eric, Barry, Zach, Brent, all those dudes, like, they're my people, man. And it's cool to have people like that in the business, because it's like we're competing with each other, right? But it's like we could take the gloves off and throw a bear hug on it and know,
Yeah.
like we got each other's backs. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
we're building culture together. This is dope. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's about, dude. Building that rock culture.
You guys both represent two great bands that represent the rock culture, man. Shinedown and Papa Roach. You know, I love it, and I think it's also the staying power of both bands, which is so great because that's what it's about.
You can't get rid of us. You just can't. We're cockroaches, man. We ain't going nowhere, dude.
That's it. Yeah, we don't want you to, because you got to show people how it's done. You know what I mean? And keep on going.
That's what I'm doing.
So let's talk about. It was so cool recently. You got together with Chris Daughtry. It was so great that you guys did a version of "Scars," another song that addresses people, the things people go through, the emotional things and pain, and another song that really hit home. It was a huge crossover for you guys too, but such a great song that and whenever you hear it and when I see you do it live, I just see the look on people's how they embrace it. Talk to me about you and Chris coming together and doing that.
So we were out on the Revolutions Live tour, pulling up on Nashville, and I caught wind that Chris wanted to come out to the show. I shot him a text. I was like, "Bro, what's up? Stoked you're coming out, you know?" And it was a cool night because Carrie Underwood was in the house too that night. She came out to see Shinedown and F.E.A.R. Roach. We got to meet her. I was like fanboying and shit. That was cool. Then Chris is in the house. I hit Chris up. I was like, "Yo, listen, man, big night tonight, dude. What do you think? Like, would you want to come up and sing Scars with us?" And he was just like, "Say less, I'm in." And so he rolls up probably about 5 minutes before we go on stage because the traffic was insane. Pulled up, we did an acoustic in the dressing room one time and put a pound and a bear hug on it. He came up on stage and just ripped it. It was so good. And the guy's just such a talented singer, period, and a great front man and just a great human. And we, a couple days goes by after the performance, and our sound guy, he was like, "Hey, man, like I went back and listened to the live performance of Scars with Chris, and it's really good." And so I hit Chris up. I was like, "Hey, man, what do you think? Like we just throw a mix on this thing, and let's just put it out there, you know?" And so we attached Scars with "Talk Away the Dark," because we just been posseed up with that crew and using it as a bullhorn to help people, and Chris was all about it, so the money that we make from the song we're donating to the AFSP, and it's just another way to give back to the people. You know what I mean? It just was such an organic, real moment that came together. It wasn't like our manager said, "Hey, you got to call Chris and you guys got to do something together." It's like, I love those moments that are serendipitous, that it just meant it was like fate.
Yeah.
And we linked up again. We shot some TikToks to promote it or whatnot. And I got to tell you, man, he played me some of his new music, and holy fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, he's on a terror, man. He's got something to prove. And his music, it gave me goosebumps when I was listening to it. I was like, "What is up, dude? Like, you're the rock world, dude. We're embracing you, Chris. You're here with us." Because, he came in and, he came in on American Idol, but he's always been a rock dude. And so he's kind of had this, like, a little bit of a stigma in the rock community, I feel, that needs to be shed, period. Like, he's a fucking rocker, man. He's one of us.
He is. And that's why I've stuck behind him from day one. Like, when he started those singles, like, everything, played it all. And we'll always and champion him because he is a rock guy. And, being on American Idol, that was just a way to get for people to see what he is telling. I mean, it was a platform,
Yeah, dude.
He's legit, 100%, and one of the greatest guys. And
Absolutely.
But that new stuff he's doing, like Pieces, oh my God, I heard some of it. I mean, he played me some stuff. Again, I look at this circle of guys like you, Brent, Chris, and a lot of dudes, great guys in the rock community. There's such a great, there's a camaraderie of friendship. There is, like the competitiveness, but everybody rooting for each other. Because it's kind of like that's the way the greatest rock moments have always had. Like, certainly, if you look back, all the way back to the Beatles and the Stones, right? Like, it's like...
It's exactly what I was thinking.
It's like all the way back to the Beatles and the Stones. They would be on each other's records and do some stuff, and they'd be involved. But it was obviously competitive. But it also was one of those things that drove them. And even internally, with, like, the fact that John and Paul, would have to up each other's game. You know what I mean? Writing songs and Mick and Keith, they were all great. So I look at that as, but makes me so happy to see just the warmest and everybody trying to like help push things forward, not only in the music scene in the rock community, which deserves to be, because it's our lives, it's our scene, but it's what we're trying to do for other people with mental health, and to let people know they're not alone. And Jacoby, we've lost friends, man. We like our hearts were we're devastated by those things, like Chris and Chris Cornell, and of course Chester Bennington, which was devastating, to us. And then you look back, losing guys like Lane, and Kurt, and you can, and Scott. I mean, Christ. I mean, you could go there's, and there's a lot of great guys in the history of rock and roll, the Keith Moons of the world, all the way for up that Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy. Just guys that, whether it was a mental health thing or it was a addiction thing, or it just, that's why we got to get the message out always, right? I think it's the greatest thing in the world. And I love the honesty of being in spirituality and life together, and being good, like being kind to others and trying to help your fellow man, right? And women.
That's what's up, man. Just having a heart for service. I think it's important, man. I think that's a true extension of my spirit life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reality is it shows, it's a testament that like fame and money and fortune can't fill this hole that we have inside of us, right? And it's like it's been my life's mission to just recover those broken pieces of me through my spiritual life, through my relationship with my higher power. And like, it's just been such a great growth process, and it's taught me to like be able to suffer well, if that makes any sense. It's like, dude, just, you got to get through it. If you get through it, you just do. You know what I mean? And to anybody that's out there that's walking through that battle, like, they say it's always darkest just before the dawn. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if we can just hold on for another moment, right, and just reach for that light, it's a good one.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely, there's always another up. Somebody said that once. Even the guy, it's really interesting because I remember sitting in the 80s with Robert Smith of The Cure, who are obviously, right, like they're considered, like they're a goth band, but he said to him, the only real tragedy was suicide. He said, because you always have to think that they're, you give it time, because there'll be another light, there'll be another up. So he was saying that to me back when I was like 21. You know what I mean? Like,
nice one, Robert.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
The beauty about The Cure, though, is they have this ability to take like the pain and the love and the joy, and like somehow meld them into a sound. It's like they've done such a great job of that juxtaposition of beauty and just raw pain. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I love that. And with this like romanticism to them.
Yes.
And Robert Smith and The Cure, dude.
Yeah. Because, it's like you can tell for everything else, and broken hearts and things we go through, there was always that real romanticism that comes through, which is cool too, But It's crazy that we go back that far, and I'll never forget him saying that. And then the first friend I lost to suicide in college, like his favorite bands reformed, his favorite teams won the like Super Bowl the next year. It was like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, stick around, please. And we know there's so many pressures, right, Jacoby? It's like, with social media, like the influx of like fentanyl and all the other crazy stuff that's going on in the world. But we got to bring a positive light to people.
That's right.
That's right, man. And but I love it, man. So it's there's been talk. I mean, there's rumors running around that there might be an Infest anniversary tour in a year or so. I don't know if you can say anything about it, or is it something that you guys are considering? You got so many rock hits that it's like you got a lot to go through. But that record, right? I mean, they've done documentaries on that record and song alone. Like, right, Vice did that whole thing about Last Resort, because it hit so many people. And again, it's been covered by, Falling in Reverse with Ronnie and Jarris Johnson and so many people, but it's affected so many people's lives. Talk to me about what you're thinking about that when you go back listening to Broken Home. You listen to these songs and you're like, is there something that you would consider as a band approaching it and doing a start to finish thing, or maybe mixing it in?
There's a lot of discussions. There's one thing I don't want to do is like a full tour where we play the album every night. I don't want to do that. But what I do want to do is create these special events, right? Say one in LA, one in New York, maybe Chicago, maybe one in Houston, Berlin, London, maybe an Australia one or a South America one, and put together something that is just beyond us just playing the record. It's like, how do we do a storyteller thing within it and play the record, and then afterwards play acoustic or something that's like, it takes you on this journey through this era of our life.
Where you're talking about it, I get what you're talking about, because I know what you mean. Because you're the kind of guy, you're constantly looking like forward. You look back, yes. But you also have to keep yourself, when you're performing, you gotta keep that excitement. So I can understand why, in your situation, that you would want to be like, well, I don't want to do this album start to finish every night, because that's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's also reliving everything too, and it's like, you know what I mean? You gotta keep it healthy in a way that works, and everybody's got their.
We're working on new music, you know what I mean?
That's what I was gonna say. You're like, right now. I love that you're right, because that's it. You've never stopped writing, and you've never stopped dropping singles that are topping the rock charts and that are doing great, that people are like singing along to. It's moving people. You never ever lost that edge. I mean, I just go back through that stuff and listen to everything from Getting Away with Murder to Be Loved. I mean, so many great songs. To Be Loved is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, I know this, brother. That was for you.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. I mean, that song is like my workout go-to running killer.
Power track.
It's Can
I tell you a story?
What's
Can
that?
I tell you a story about that one?
Oh, I love you to tell me, because that To Be Loved is so great.
So that song was the theme song to Monday Night Raw, right? And so that's teed us up. We got that thing. It's promoting the song To Be Loved. It's popping off. We get an offer to go do, I think it's like 2 weeks with Iron Maiden and Mastodon. And I'm like, this is going to be sick, but it's kind of intimidating because it's Iron Maiden and we're in Europe, right? Like going into Germany and, what are those metalheads going to like P. Roach? And so we get on stage and we've been opening the tour with To Be Loved. Well, right when we kick into the song, the crowd goes absolutely bananas, just off. And I'm like, what's happening? Like, this is not what we expected. Had a great show, first show, right? We come on stage. I'm like, what the hell was that? And our label guy was like, well, it happens that a lot of German metalheads love the WWE Raw, Jacoby. And so it's love, To Be Loved. It's the theme song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes.
That's amazing.
It was so sick, man. Like we tapped in right at that moment and it just connected. And it was just, it caught us by surprise because, a European metal audience can sometimes be unforgiving.
Yeah.
And it was dope. They loved us. And so, man.
Yeah. I watched the movie Saturday night with Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. I gotta talk to him about that. And Bruce and his wife and Matt Bellamy, some other folks. It was like a small thing to watch the Anvil movie. Watch the Anvil movie together again.
Yes.
It's great, incredible Anvil movie, which is so awesome. Group of us. It was like just a group of about 20 or 30 people. But I love that, dude. That story is fantastic, and I love that. You know what's crazy? People don't realize, or maybe they do, the reach of like the WWF, WWE. Because even in the MTV days, I actually worked. Obviously, I worked on that Forcible Entry album, the like themes album, in the early 2000s. And I worked on that WWE or F originals because I don't know if it switched over by that moment.
Yeah, by that time.
But I was at Columbia doing A&R, so I got to work on a bunch of stuff with them, and it was wild. But what I realized in my MTV years is we were doing, we were doing like a thing in the Bahamas, like a summer house, and I
Yeah.
flew in with all those WWF guys. And then those guys were looking to get some weed, like out in like the sticks. So this guy's driving us in a van, like way out in the woods. And I'm like, hopefully, well, at least I'm with a bunch of wrestlers, so we probably won't get murdered right now or jumped. But we get out there, and all these kids recognize them. These kids, it was unreal.
They're like, no, autograph.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It's like how funny. It's amazing. I'll never forget that, man. But I love that. That song has so much power. I mean, there's so many. I'm glad you're working on new material, man. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I know it's your lifeblood. You've got to, as an artist, your expression. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. You know what I mean? So that's great.
We're taking this year to create a bunch of new music, and kind of expand the infrastructure of our record company. And so we got some goals, with that. P. Roach, we're going to do another record, obviously, but we're looking to sign a band. That's like one of our next goals, is to take New Noise and level it up, and not only just put out Papa Roach records, but put out other bands' music. And so that's like the next frontier, I think, for us creatively. That's really exciting. So it's going to be a fun year, man. It's like, I won't be out there doing a bunch of touring, but being creative.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be great, man. It's this year so far, aside of the Niners losing the Super Bowl yesterday, has been pretty damn good.
Yeah, that was a tough one. That was that was painful. You being a Sacramento guy, being Vacaville, like all the areas up there, and like just that was a tough one. And of course, I lived in San Francisco for 2 years in North Beach, so I I was like, that was a painful one, but. But it was a good game. I've got to say, man, everybody was, the playing was unbelievable. But I'm just admitting right now that I was rooting for, of course, the 49ers because you know what I mean? It's just, and here I am in California. You know what I mean? Yeah, so, but I got to tell you, Jacoby, I'm so excited, man. Thank you for taking the time to hang with me today and to be on the show. I love that we catch up, we get, you've been on the show at least a few times here now, and it's always such it's such a great experience to have you on the show. People love it. I love it. You're my brother. You are my friend for a long time, and that's what I love what you're talking about, keeping it real, because that's what you and I do. We just pick up the phone. You know what I mean? We don't go there's like we just like, what are you doing? Hey, so it's the best, and I love that. Yep. I'm grateful for our friendship, my brother, and. Absolutely. And I'm excited about this next year and everything that's going on. Congratulations on Leave a Light On, Talk Away the Dark, being just crushing it right now as it should, And isn't it blow you? The last thing I'm just going to say is, isn't it cool that Ego Trip, this 11th album, has gone that deep on singles?
We turn it up to 11, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it blows me away, and this is, I think, like our 5th single off the album. And, we've just done something. We achieved the goals that we set out to do and surpassed some of them. And this deep into our musical journey I couldn't ask for anything more, honestly. It's taken so much blood, sweat, and tears and time and effort and sacrifice, and it is so worth it, to live this dream that I had as like a 16-year-old kid, right? And I'm living in it now. I'm doing it, and it blows me away, man. It really, I'm grateful.
Yeah,
I'm very grateful.
Yeah,
and I got more gas in the tank. You know what I'm saying? I got more to say.
You definitely do. You are going there. I know that 100%, man. Because listen, anybody who sees you live and listens to these songs knows, man. I mean, you're firing on all pistons. You got a lot more to say and a long way to go. We got a lot of time left. We're going to make it count.
Listen, I might be firing on all pistons, but I got a couple screws loose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, so do I. I can relate. But listen, man, we love you, Jacoby. Thanks so much for doing the show, my brother. All right, you got it. Jacoby Shaddix from Papa Roach right here on KLOS. It's new and approved. I'm Matt Pinfield. We'll see you next time.